tell you what, Nathan, it's hard. You know, the learning curve when you become secretary, it's steep. And Nathan, you've done a brilliant job. And I'm just, I know I'm just a little bit older than you, but I really am proud of you. I mean, you've come a long way in the last year. It's very impressive, your dad and your grandpa. But I'll be very excited about it. Well, you know, a year ago, I've got the vice president's role, and that means I am going to watch your money, right? Me and the board and everybody at the PGA of America. And I sat here and I looked down and I said, I'm putting the 3 zeros back onto the budget. And I meant it, because I want to make sure that it's not $5,000, it's $5 million. And then about 11 months ago, all of a sudden the live thing became real, right? External threats were going to happen. Purses were increasing. There was unknown. It was uncertainty. We were looking to pay you the deferred compensation plan. We wanted to make sure that we've had enough money for you. And what it came down to is, hey, over the next 4 years, we've got to make this budget meet, and we got to find $50 million. Welcome to the job, Don. But I was up to the task. And the reason is because the budget committee and the board of directors and the staff and everybody that collaborates together is managing your money. And it's critically important that we do that. So just to remind you of what happens here as vice president. So I'm in charge of the budget committee, like I said, the investment committee, the audit committee, and the innovation committee. And I think you need to know what each committee do. Over the last 2 days, you've asked me a lot of questions like, Don, how detailed is your report going to be? Listen, they gave me 7 minutes. That's all I got. But if you go to pga.org and look under Resources tab, you'll see the whole thing. Lots of graphs, lots of numbers, lots of explanations. But if you need more, ask any of us that's sitting on this stage and down in the crowd, because we're charged with managing your money, and we're doing just that. So the Budget Committee, we had some fun with it. We named ourselves the I-6. The Inquisitive Six. We were going to ask a lot of questions. We were going to find out what was going on. We wanted to dig a little bit deeper. We're operators. Look at who's on that list. They're all board of directors, and are all PGA members except for one. And the one it is, it's Gideon Yu, who is the CFO of Facebook, YouTube. I mean, he's been a tech genius. He's owner of the 49ers, but he's also the president of the 49ers. So the backgrounds of who's on your budget committee is very strong. So rest assured, we are doing everything we can to work with staff to try to head these things off that Seth was mentioning. The investment committee, I'll tell you a little bit about the investment committee. One of you asked me, Don, who invests our money and how well are they doing? Well, let's talk about Don Edwards first and foremost. FlexPoint Ford, Google it. I'll tell you right now, they manage $5.4 billion. And Don's the one who founded that company. How about Gus Sauter? Worked for Vanguard for years. The Vanguard Fund, $2.4 trillion, Chris Liddell told me today. $2.4 trillion. That's who's helping us manage it. Certainly I'm on there. John McNair's on there also, a business owner. And what do? We work with Cambridge & Associates. This is another company that they manage about $500 billion, and they have 850 clients, and we're one of them. So rest assured, the best in the business are looking after your $200 million reserve fund. One more slide. I'm hitting the button. So let's talk about really what the investment company's doing, right? And that's the reserve fund. That's your savings account. There's about $200 million in it right now, and we wanted to look at that. We want to look at it in a little bit different way. It's okay to take a little bit out of your reserve fund if you've got special projects, capital, just like at your own facility, right? It's the same thing. But the purchase power of your reserve fund is critical. Is it going to be able to buy as much in the future as it is now? I mean, I think we know $200 million, even $10 8 years ago doesn't buy what it did back then. And now they're worth $200 million. And so when the investment committee is looking at it, we're looking at the purchase power of your savings account. We need to protect that. The external threats are real, and we're going to make sure that your association is founded on a solid rock of a savings account, a reserve fund, almost an endowment of your association to make sure that we can use some of it, but we need to save the rest of it for a rainy day, because I believe there's going to be some rainy days. There always are. The audit committee, so everybody's doing their job. Well, who's coming in to make sure that they're doing their job? PwC is one of the biggest companies in the world. I looked, 160 years they've been around. There's big 4 accounting firms. They're one of them. We ask them tough questions. Don and Gus and Gideon, they're asking tough questions to the audit committee to make sure that the numbers we're presenting are real, so that when we present them to you, we can stand on them. There's nothing going on here. Everything is above board. Once again, go on the website if you want to see the detailed report. So the Innovation Fund, several of you have asked me, who's on the Innovation Fund? What does it do? Well, that's who's on it. And they're business leaders. Barry and I are in there. I think we're just in there just to give the PGA members perspective. And it's awesome because when you're dealing with the Joe Ossel or Gideon Yu, Gus is on there too. I mean, it's such a strong group. And then we have Arjun Chowdhury and Chris Hart. They've looked into over 250 companies to see who should we invest in. Where is this money? Well, it's $15 million of the 200. And we decided we were going to invest in companies, businesses that could help, I don't know, 4 categories. What was the impact going to be on the member? Let's rate it for that. What's the impact on the game? How about the industry? What's the financial return of that? And that's what we looked at. And we teamed up with Elysian Park, and they're helping us dive into all the different companies that we can invest in. And one of the companies is down below, bottom right, Eastside Golf, a PGA members company. The first company that we've actually invested in was a PGA members, and we look to do more with that. Some of you say, the Innovation Fund, what's it do? It invests in you, and we're going to continue to do that. So financial performance, once again, the details are in there, but at the end of the day, you know, we lost $800,000 in the last fiscal year. Well, we budgeted to lose $800,000. We lost 1.3. Now, it's a non-Ryder Cup year, so nobody panic. We look at our fiscal 4 years altogether because of the power of the domestic Ryder Cup and a foreign Ryder Cup. So it's no reason to alarm yourselves. We're once again, I showed you everybody who's looking under the hood on your numbers. But rest assured, we're doing everything we can to get those numbers as we look at the next 4 years. So what are we focusing on, this I-6 group? Well, we decided we were going to focus on 4 things. I mentioned one of them already. What's the purchase power of your savings account, your reserve fund? We need to look at that. What's generating revenue to PGA of America? Can we increase that revenue? What are the revenue generators? And let's look at those a little bit more. Expenses, of course, we do it at our own facilities. You always got to manage your expenses. So we're going to manage those too. It could be travel. It could be all kinds of things. We're going to dive into the P&L of every event. We've talked about it already, you know, whether it's the KPMG, the KitchenAid, any of our spectator championships or our junior championships or our member championships, we're going to look at how we're operating those. That's just what you do at your daily business. And we're doing the same for you. And now what is the approach? Well, the North Stars, don't underestimate the power of North Stars, because when it comes down to wants and needs, you need to know the difference. And North Stars, that's what it defines. And we're also going to have quarterly meetings with the COO. That hasn't happened before, but the budget committee, the I-6, is going to meet with John Connolly and make sure that we're looking at projections for the rest of the year. Just like you, if there's variances over a certain percentage, we want to know why, we want to know how you're going to fix it. These are things that we're doing to make sure that we achieve what we need to achieve. The budget process, it needs to be sped up. It needs to have a better timeline. We need to hold people accountable to deadlines. We need to manage, definitely, the staff and board travel. Everybody. You ask that question all the time. We're looking into it. We have an Excel spreadsheet dedicated to the travel expenses of the C-suite and board. And then we're just going to continue to analyze all of our payroll. That concerns a lot of you. You've told me a lot of times, and it's all right. We're going to analyze staff, payroll. We're analyzing everything. And that's what our approach is going to be. If you want to talk about what money's going back to the sections, well, it's doubled since 2013. And the revenue and the regional model is just going to improve that. We're looking for ways. It's your money. And we're the conduit of all these funnels that we've created for you to drive it down to the sections, because we know that's where you live. And that's where we're going to drive this money. So rest assured, ADP money might not specifically go up, but section support is always the main thing that we're focused in on increasing. All right, so why is all this important? I went over my 7 minutes, Nathan. I'm so sorry, but the budget is the budget, and it's your money, and I think you want to hear about what's going on. And if you want to talk to me later tonight or anytime, like I said, I'd love to talk to you, and I know everybody in the budget committee would too. But just like the slide says, I mean, we have a fiduciary responsibility to manage your money because it's yours. Every check we sign, we know that we're signing it for you, and we want to spend your money wisely. But I will say, you know, and we're gonna leave it better than we found it, but one of the things I wanted to finish on, at the risk of going too long, but don't forget, Vice Presidents, I've been talking to you every month for the last year. And so you're holding me accountable, you're holding this dais accountable, you're holding every board of director accountable. Are you holding your section accountable? Do you have an I-6 in your section? Are you working hand in hand with the executive director of your section, your CEO, to make sure that the members of your section and their money is being handled correctly? I hope you are. I hope the standard at which you're holding us to, which you should, you're holding yourself up to. I definitely look forward to the next year. I look forward to the next 100 years, because that's what we're committed to doing, is making this association sustainable, and all those kids that are sitting in the back have it better than we had it. That completes my report. President Linder.